news stories, and information that matters to you with your host, Margie Taylor of Taylorized PR. For more information about being a guest, visit irlonestar.com/Conroe Culture.
Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
Hey, this is Chris from the Ticket Stub. You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZW LP Conroe and 106.1 KZCC LP Conroe and worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us on the Cindy Cochran Show. Whether you're listening to us on 104.5 or 106.1, any one of those two radio stations, you can listen to us. Or if you're watching us live, right now, live on YouTube and also on Facebook. And so if you go to the Cindy Cochran Show, search that, and it'll all come up. And it is just, I can't believe we go all the way back to like 2012. Would that be right? I think that's right. 2012 or something like that, where we had shows, and some of them are all audio, and then we started, doing video, and the Mark and Cindy show, and it was, and all that stuff is still on the cloud. That cloud must be so heavy with our shows. But if you want to listen to that and go back and binge, please go ahead and do that. Anyway, I want to thank our sponsor is the Wootton Financial Group, and Chris Wootton is a great guy. And if you want to give him a call, I've got his number. Okay, now you ready? Write this down: 936-449-5952. Don't tell anybody, but you can call Chris, and he'll give you the answers. He'll calm your nerves about your money status, and he'll help you with that, especially in your retirement. So. And if you feel like, yeah, but I'm only 30 years old, I don't need to talk to somebody about that. Yes, you do. Right now, if you get started, it's better to wait instead of waiting until you're about 70 and go like, what am I going to do? I need to retire and I don't have the money. So talk to Chris Wootton at the Wootton Financial Group, and he can calm your fears. Okay, it is Thursday, Friday's Eve. And I don't even know what movies or anything that's going on that's out there. But I caught the headline of the Conroe Courier, and it was talking about they were getting ready to have a rally against censorship. And I couldn't wait to read that article to find out what they were talking about, what they were having a problem with, who was being censored in Conroe. And so I got here, and Richard knew all about it. I couldn't even remember the word censorship. So Conroe was going to rally against that, Richard, and then it got canceled. Why would they cancel it?
Oh, from what I understand, it was Southern Star Brewery has a large area where you can rent and do festivals, do events, fundraisers, and things like that. And from what I understand, they were going to do an event about censorship, and then they found out that, like, after they booked it, then they started announcing, like, who's coming, who's going to be, like, on the guest list and all that kind of stuff. Oh. And then I think when they announced Kyle Rittenhouse was going to be there, Southern Star Brewery realized this was going to be an issue because it's like a political thing,
right?
And they're not political. They don't hold political things there. They might do fundraisers, but it's a private event kind of thing. And so I don't know if you've ever been to Southern Star Brewery.
No, I haven't.
But it can get really interesting if you go there during a festival because you don't really know if it's Southern Star, if it's like a fundraiser. But usually it's free and all that kind of stuff. I think when they have private events, like you can't go into the brewery, but they might have like the outside.
The tours of the brewery?
Well, no. So they have like the actual physical brewery location, which is a building, and then they actually have, I guess you call it like a beer hall inside. Mm-hmm. And you can rent that room privately.
Oh, okay.
And so, like, if you go there on a Saturday, beautiful day, and it's like they won't let you in there, but they have an outside area that's very big that is just like a field, and they have a tap room or tap bunkhouse kind of thing. It's outdoors, and that's open to the public. So it just depends on like what's going on. So from what I understand, they were going to have this event there, and when they realized it's a political event, it would kind of send mixed messages to the public.
Mm-hmm. So they censored themselves and shut it down.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, there's going to be a lot of drinking and stuff, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that's kind of the issue is when they host events, they try to host events that are open to the public. So most times when they have an event, it's like
families?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, for example, the Hot Sauce Festival, they have it there. But, like, if you go there, you don't have to drink beer. You don't have to pay to get in. Mm-hmm. But there's a bunch of booths and all that kind of stuff. And you can just hang out there. They have food trucks. But, again, it's not Southern Star throwing the event. It's like a partner or whatever you want to call it. And they might pay Southern Star to use the area. I'm not really sure exactly how they do it. But, yeah.
That's interesting. Well, what you don't have any idea what the problem with the censorship is or what they think Conroe's censoring them.
Are you talking about why Southern Star canceled it, or are you talking about...
Why was it going to happen? Why did they want
From what I understood, the organizers were a publishing house, and they published a bunch of books, and they were going to have... They called it... their main issue, I thought, is they called it a rally.
Rally, yes.
So I think that was kind of the red flag, like one of the red flags from Southern Star's point of view, because they didn't want to have a rally there. It was more of like if you're...
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I don't know.
They wanted to do a NASCAR rally, but that would be fine. But not to have something like a political, because that could create friction between the audience and the speaker.
Yeah.
And then everybody's drinking in the audience.
I mean, and I think that's what it came down to. Is it was like a publishing house that was going to host it, and it was going to be all their authors. And then Kyle Rittenhouse was. I don't think he's one of the authors, but he might have a book deal with them. I guess I don't really know, but I think that was the kind of the network that was going to be there. And they don't really have events like that to the public. Like anytime you go to Southern Star and they have an event going on, usually it's just like a casual thing. They might have bands, but it's never like, hey, everyone needs to be quiet. We're going to have this speech kind of thing.
Well, he went through that trial.
Yeah.
And I think that, he saw what the press really was all about and what the TV stations and how they treated him and the narrative that they used, and he didn't think it was right. And I guess he was seeing what if the press will only show one side of it, and they censor anyone talking about the other side, and that's what's been going on. I mean, that has happened, and that's what a lot of people, and that's why Twitter came out and said, they were censoring anyone that was conservative. Now, so I can see a roundabout way why Kyle would be a speaker there, but boy, would that bring the attention and...
Yeah, well, again, it's more of, if you're going to have an event like that, find a location that you can rent completely.
Yes,
Not have something like what Southern Star does, where it's open and like, because a lot of people go to Southern Star just to go, bring their kids, hang outside, have beer, and eat some food, and it's kind of like you don't have to participate in the event.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Well, what kind of food? I mean, it's just like...
Food trucks, like different
food trucks. Food trucks.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of fun. I encourage everyone to go check it out. It's a lot of fun.
Okay. But anyways, but it hit me like censorship in Conroe. What would anybody be censoring in Conroe?
Well, I think it's just like, that's the key word, or what do you want to call it?
And the publishers were talking about books that have been censored, probably. Okay.
Well, yeah, I don't know if it's like a speech, but they called it a rally, and I think that was the main issue. It's like, we don't have rallies here. It's not,
I love that.
But I do like all the speculation. If you go on social media, people are either hating it or loving it, and it's like, because I've actually bowled with a couple of the brewers there, and I bowled with Dave, one of the owners, one of the founders. And yesterday I was hanging out, we're bowling, and one of the brewers was there, and I was like, "How are you guys doing over there? Are y'all having a lot of fun with this?" And he's like, "Yeah, Dave's handling it really well. I mean, I mean, we're a brewery, so we're going to be open. We want to be open, and people need to come. And I was like, yeah, people are still going to come drink there. Like, it's not
Right.
It's not like people are going to boycott it to the point where no one's going to come because most people don't care.
Well, I mean, now I can see back in the day, if the brewery was going to move into a community that was conservative, and they would say like, "No way, you're not going to be here." Just like when
Well, it's
they
kind of
started,
like ACU. I remember like there was talk of a Hooters moving in. That was like a huge deal
ACU?
at ACU, and it was like you have to be so many miles away from campus. So crazy. But then again, it's like the brewery. I wouldn't have had an event like that, but it also makes me question like what is their process of getting an event there? Mm-hmm. Because how do they not know this after the first initial talk?
right?
So it's kind of like, unless it's a private event. If it was a private event, I think that I would have an issue canceling on them. But
Right.
it wasn't a private event.
Well, and it's for free. They let them use the facility for free, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. How it depends how they set it up.
Oh.
Because it sounded like they were going to use the field, and it was like an event,
Yeah.
not like we're using the beer hall, we're closing the beer hall, that kind of thing. Because again, like if you're just a regular patron, you're going to get confused. So I get confused when I go there and they're having like a private event. I'm like, oh, well, how do we use the restrooms then? Because all the restrooms are inside, and like they have restrooms on the first floor. So it's like it's
It's not the BFF. What are the toilets that they put outside?
No, they don't. They might have those for certain events, but again, it's like you can get easily confused when you get there because there's just so many people, and you're like, oh, this is a private event. Okay, well, I guess I'll go outside and
not mess this up. BFF, not best friend forever. Is it BFI? Is that what's the names of the?
talking about porta potties.
Yeah, what are they called? Aren't they?
Called porta potties.
No, they've got it.
There's a company maybe called BFI.
Okay.
That's a company.
Okay.
I mean, are you trying to say that when you go out to events, like, hey, where's the BFIs?
No, I would say porta potties, but
Yeah.
I just can remember seeing
I don't know what you're talking about, but
those
yeah,
initials on the.
they got a lot of hate online though.
You what?
The Southern Star did.
Oh, they did?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
It's really online's great. There's a great Facebook group called I Love Conroe, and people on there are hilarious.
What
Man.
do they say?
Oh, just a bunch of like, I'm not going to support this place. And I'm thinking like, you probably never even really went there, like, because I think that's what's smart, especially here in Conroe. All the breweries, they're a destination now, so it's somewhere to go to hang out. If it's beautiful outside, just hang
Like
out.
the ice house type?
No,
deal?
well, it's just they made it where it's all outside. That doesn't surprise me at all, Cindy.
I am so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I like how you answered it. So this person's like listening to this.
Bye. Okay. No, I get so many random calls. I don't know where they come from. Just out of the woodwork. And I just open the phone, put it on speaker, and sit there, and I don't say anything. And then they go,
Hello?
"Hi, Cindy.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad."
That's robocalls.
Yeah. I said, "I do not speak to robots," and I hang up. Oh, those are horrible. But anyway, I did want to ask you about something that I think that a lot of people they don't know the history of Lone Star. And so today I thought it'd be concentrated on you. And, like I don't have any stories about it. So it'll be about what you think. 'Cause I listened to the show yesterday with Bob.
Yeah, Bob Smiley.
Bob
That was a great
Smiley.
show.
It was so fun. I really
Goes
enjoyed
by
it.
fast.
It went by fast. But I did talk more than I should probably. And I tell stories because
Well, you know Bob. So I think that's what happens when you know somebody that well. Because you've known him for over 10 years, I feel like.
Oh, it's been
Longer.
I think it's been longer than
So-
that, yeah. But I still feel like I didn't let him. He opened up his computer, and I thought he was watching what the people from Facebook and stuff would say, and I didn't know he had all these stories he was going to tell. So I really
You'll have him back.
well, that's where
It's not
I'm
like he
going to
lives far.
back. No, and he can be here in time to have a Subway. So I'm gonna have him back again. And I told him I apologize for talking too much, but I can't help it. He brings up things that just it reminds me of this or that. But I realized he wasn't finished with everything he wanted to say. And plus about his book, we didn't talk about his book, and we need to do that because I have wanted to have some authors on. And so
why don't you call this publishing place that got kicked out of Southern Star? They probably
that's
love
a
to be on.
great idea. And then I can have the brewery guy, and so they can tell me why.
Wow.
I want to know why it was shut down. Was there any other, a nefarious reason why down the line why they shut it down? But
You know why they shut it down.
they were afraid.
Not afraid. It's like, I don't want to deal with that. Why would they want to deal with that?
Well, you don't think that's being afraid? I
No.
think it's being afraid. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want.
It would be one thing if it was like the only thing that they were dependent on, but it's like it's a brewery. They're always having events. It's not like the end of the world. They're like, yeah, we don't really want to deal with this, so sorry, we're not going to have your event.
So I just wondered how many showed up. People showed up and they had told them it was canceled.
No, it hasn't. It was going to be in February, I think.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, or February or April.
Well, that's why today's paper in the Conroe Courier had them saying they're getting ready for the rally on censorship.
They might be doing it somewhere else. I don't know.
Maybe, but
I don't know.
it's interesting. Okay, so today we're going to talk about Richard Schishler IV, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here, I'm going to look it up, see if they're still doing it.
Are you going to look you up?
Because I know Dave was on Michael Berry, I think, yesterday, maybe.
Oh, about
talking
this?
about because there's a lot of speculation where they're saying like the conspiracy theory was HEB called and said if you have this event we're gonna not carry your beer anymore, which I don't know if that's true or not. And
Oh, we can find out.
So
we can call James.
Well, I mean, like if you go on their Facebook, they said there was no retailer or any outside forces pressured them to make the decision. They just wanted to they wanted to cancel it basically because it would keep people out and certain people in. They're like, we don't want to have that kind of event where people feel excluded. So.
Oh, the equity thing. Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Which makes sense. It's a brewery.
I know, but if they have rented this to this group,
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if it was
shut that down.
I don't know if it was. I don't think it was a private event. I think that's why they shut it down. I would again, if it was a private event, that kind of stinky on Southern Star to cancel a private event because they're paying the money, whatever it is, to rent. But I don't think I don't think it's a private event. I think they were trying to have like a rally, like a full-on rally there.
I would be interested in like how much security they had hired.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think it became a thing where like we don't have to deal with this, so it's not.
Yeah, because who'd be responsible?
Yeah.
For it? Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So
what your friend was on Michael Berry?
I think Dave was. Yeah, that's what the brewer said yesterday. And I was like, oh, cool. So it really got big. Like it's like almost like a news event.
Can he come on our show and we can talk to him?
No. I don't want to. Why would you want to have? Why would you want to put someone through that where they're kind of like they don't want to just make one statement, they're done with it, they're moving on. Again, it's a brewery. There's other stuff going on.
I understand, but it's just a little bit of excitement in the air with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I always love controversy in Conroe.
No, I mean it's like the guy's trying to get this No Limits Church going.
Yeah,
and so they're going to do it at the senior citizen place out there on Sunday nights. Now, if they would have somebody like Kyle come and speak, they'd fill the place up.
I don't see what's so interesting about Kyle Rittenhouse. Like, why would I want to hear him speak?
You wouldn't want to hear him speak?
No. I mean, he went through that tragic event. Like, yeah, let's talk about how when you killed those people. I bet he really wants to talk about that.
He's making lots of.
Hopefully he's making some money. But
yeah,
again, like, why would you want to talk about people you killed? I mean, I get the whole censorship or the media portrayal of it because the media loves that kind of stuff. I mean, I think my favorite thing from that story, I think there were like, if you read certain outlets, they made it sound like he killed African Americans and like they weren't.
Yeah, no.
And then again, it's like it's kind of like one of those events that political people try to jump on at the very beginning, and they don't really realize.
And they don't know all that.
And then like you get little jewels later on where like, oh, one of the guys he killed happened to be a convicted pedophile, and like all this, like one was a felon, and you're like, oh man, like, do we really want to get behind this? because I mean it was tragic, and the guy killed somebody. And
Well, when will the networks learn to keep their mouths shut until they get the details?
well, it's
and
like
then
that
do it?
one child or like young man at the Washington D.C. getting that drum in his face, and then you got
that was
so for like 36 hours you got this crazy blow
Right.
up, and then someone was like, "Oh, here's the full video."
Yeah, that's right. It was this mean kid. Did you
Yeah,
see him
mean,
smirking?
yeah.
He was smirking.
I love it.
That smirk just had, everybody should just beat this kid up. But it was nothing. And that poor kid, what he had to go through, but he got his, I loved it when he sued everybody.
What's bizarre to me, even connecting to the, I guess the most frequent story, is that George Santos guy who's now a congressperson, and like all the lies he did. I'm thinking to myself, like, man, with technology today, like, did literally no one check up on this? Because I think yesterday they released, he was in Brazil for a bit, and they have a picture of him in drag because he was a drag queen.
Right.
And I don't know if it's 100%, but you can see the picture, and they had some statement from another drag queen in Brazil. It's like, yeah, he was a drag queen for a year when he was doing.
Are you talking about the guy that stole the?
No, who lied about his entire resume? He's now a congressman.
Him. Okay, I thought they were talking about the guy that
Like
they
he said,
hired.
he said he was a gay Jewish something, and then it turned out he wasn't Jewish. And they're like, well, what do you mean by calling yourself Jewish? And he's like, no, I'm a little Jewish.
I'm a little bit Jewish.
I don't know what that means. Like, you hear these people, you're like, man, how did he slip by all this? Like, what's going on in New York or whatever? It's kind of like with Beto O'Rourke here. It's like no one will ever let any of that stuff go with him. People are like, people just remember that stuff, and it's like,
We're
oh, he
coming after you.
skateboards, and like people are really hate on him for that kind of stuff. And I'm like,
Well, I
man,
think the main thing was we're gonna. Oh yeah, we're coming for
hell
your guns.
yeah, we're gonna take your That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Again, it's like, what are you thinking, man? Like everyone's gonna remember this.
Everybody does. I think that it's just like I was trying to tell Bob because, see, I thought Bob watched the news and he was up on the news because he does these little news clip things.
Yeah, he has a Miley Minute. Or
right, and so
Miley
I think
Minute?
I don't know, and I've got to go back and ask him. Did you know what I was referring to about? Why would you drive your Corvette back into the garage and show all these looks like piles of papers and stuff sitting in the garage and not think that's going to come back to bite you? That's
Well, the scary. You're
amazing.
talking about the Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Well, the scariest thing about that is they knew this before November.
Yeah.
And again, it's like it's one of those things where you make this big case with Donald Trump, and everyone hates Donald Trump, but then it's like, when will people learn? Like, don't make it a big deal when it comes to him, because someone else is probably doing the same thing.
That's right.
And then people are going to see the hypocrisy in it, and no one's going to understand why no one gets in trouble, because there's a reason why no one gets in trouble, because when people you don't want to get in trouble, you can't like convict them, because it's like, oh, we don't want to get Biden in trouble, like,
Yeah.
so we can't get Trump in trouble because of it.
So
Or
now
vice
now
versa.
Trump gets to go free.
Yeah.
And now we're going to have to free so we can free Biden.
I like
And
it though. It's one of those things. It's hilarious to me because
the funniest thing to me is when he called his lawyers, and everybody was making fun and mocking that, like, oh yeah, when I want somebody to go clean out my garage and pick up my stuff, I make sure I call my lawyers to do that for
well, no,
me.
I think the whole timeline of it, no one really knows the truth. Like I said, they probably like I said, they discovered it before November. So like
November
knew,
2nd, they found.
yeah, like they knew this stuff.
Yeah.
And it might have been just a protocol. It's just like a routine thing, but then the way the media portrays it, similar to like the Trump deal,
Right.
where like the Secret Service probably knew there was classified information there. It wasn't like he, tripped over a cabinet and some files fell out and like, oh, you weren't supposed to see that. I don't think I think they know, and then what happens is you get the right person hears it, and they're like, oh, we can use this. We can say that he hid it.
Yeah.
Because technically he's hiding it in a cabinet,
Yeah, if the maid called and
Technically.
said, Mr. Biden, what do you want me to do with these papers I found in the
Yeah, see.
garage? I'm trying to clean this out, and should I
that's not
put
what
these in the
happened, though.
trash? No, but so he gets the wind like, oh, shoot, okay, let me call the lawyers and I'll have them come, because the lawyers can figure out, oh, we don't want the people to know this, or we don't want the people to know that. And then, this is what's so brilliant, though. I don't think he's this brilliant, but I think that what he did was this. If you have your lawyers come and find this, and whatever they find that's going to look horrible for you, and they decide to hide it or something. Now he has a client attorney privilege, and he can't say anything.
I mean, I think every president probably does that. I don't know why you want to keep paper copies today, but
here's the deal. This is what that if you have a son that's involved in so many things.
I get all that, but I think what's interesting about it is you don't. They use those words that are like, for example, they say classified, so you don't even know what kind of documents it is. So it could be like a document from 20 years ago, and he just had it there and was like, yeah. But
now, do you really think that that's what he had?
No, I'm just saying.
And he can't.
But they use this boogeyman word like classified, so it could be anything.
Because he can't. He wasn't supposed to. It's illegal for him to have classified documents. And he can't declassify it because he's a vice president, not a president. So he's taking these classified documents home with him, and he has them spread out over 3 locations. It's just.
But I think every person in the government does that kind of stuff.
Well, I think all the presidents have been. Take
their work home.
They take the stuff home, and this is really cool to have this, and you can show somebody. Here's how they make an atomic bomb. Here's
you don't know what the information is because
what is in there.
That's what I'm saying. Like they use that term classified, so it could be anything. But then you assume the worst. You literally just said, oh, it could be nuclear secrets, but you know what it could have been? It could have been like an HR thing that someone sued or something for sexual harassment. And it's like, we got to classify this because for whatever reason, because you can classify anything. They can do anything they want.
But what was in there was Russia, China, and
you don't know.
And Ukraine.
They use the word classified, so the public's like, oh,
this is what they found, these papers that were involved with this. So I think it just speaks volumes without even having to read them that something was afoot, because if he had those kind of papers in there, and then Hunter was renting this house and paying them like $400,000 a month to rent the house, it just all seems very strange.
No one knows. Well, the conspiracy theory out there is the it's like a CIA hit job where they're trying to get rid of President Biden.
Yes, yeah.
That's the conspiracy, and this is how they're going to get rid of him or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean,
this way they can let him down easy.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Until Kamala visited the house, so that she can't run either. And then they're going to bring Gavin.
They're going to be Hillary
Newsom.
Clinton. No, Hillary Clinton. She's going to take off her lizard skin, and then
it would be
love it.
The worst.
Can you imagine being those people and just dealing with this crap all the time? Like people think you're a lizard person. You're like, oh my gosh. But then again, they live a different lifestyle. I mean, I imagine like George Bush Jr. is just hanging out right now and just kind of like, well, they occasionally call me for my input, but I just want to hang out on my ranch. Okay. I bet he has classified information there.
Yeah, he did.
I bet that.
But everybody knew that, and he can declassify it.
Why do you think? Like that's one thing I'd be interested to know is like, what is the rational thinking behind taking that information?
Because these are.
Is it like just you want to remember?
Well, it had to be like monumental things.
Memories. This is when I classified this terrorist organization when we bombed them. I want to look at this paperwork again.
I don't want anybody else seeing this, so I'm going to take it home.
Well, just burn it. That's what I'm saying.
They'll come after him for that. They probably can't burn it.
Who's
going to destroy it?
Who's going to know?
Well, I guess if the library doesn't know that you've taken it.
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't. Oh, you signed your checkout signature right here, sir. I'm like, I don't know. Like,
I don't know how they get.
Does that make sense?
Do you remember the guy?
Unless you're trying to make money off of it. That's the only thing I can think of. Like, well, I'm going to take these classified documents because down the road, I need it to blackmail, or I need it to get me. I needed to get out of a jam. I can just use this as my trump card. This is like, hey, here's some classified documents of something you did. Remember that? Do
you remember the guy that went in to the library and stuffed papers and stuff in his socks, his underwear and stuff? He was doing it for Clinton. He wanted to get rid of some of the stuff in the library.
I like it. I like it.
It was crazy. But why I don't know why they don't all pat him down when they come out.
I mean, it is what it is.
They take
I know
stuff.
you love listening to But I mean,
Well, it's just interesting. And what I had brought up was like, because of the social media, because of everything that we know, all the technology that we have, why would this guy murder his wife and go to Google and Google, how do you get rid of
Who's this guy?
150? I don't know what his name is. He just got. They announced yesterday that they've charged him with the murder, but it took so long, this investigation, that the mom went missing, and so he never called and said,
Yeah.
my wife's missing, until her boss at work says he's missing. But this guy, so they come in and they always suspect the husband. He's the first one to suspect, and this guy had so much background of being in trouble with the law already. So he Googles, how do you get rid of a 115-pound body? And what's the way to clean up after a murder? Well, how do you clean that up? And what chemicals do you need? And this is all on his computer, and they're reading this, and they still don't charge him. I mean, like, immediately. This guy can't get out. There's no free cash bail.
yeah,
or
but there's
anything.
probably some, legal
Well, no, they want to get as much.
procedure with that. Like, you can't just arrest somebody because they looked up something on the internet.
What? You don't think that's pretty damning?
Well, I think because from what I understand, and law enforcement can tell me different, is once you charge somebody, like, you better have the evidence to back it up. Because if you don't have evidence and you charge somebody and then they get out, it makes it look really bad when you find real
And try and get
evidence.
them back in.
And
Yeah.
then it's like harassment and all
Right.
this other stuff. So you probably don't want to arrest the guy just because he looked up something on Google. The DA is probably like, no, we really need to nail this guy. Like, we get one shot, so do not mess with it until we find like physical proof where, he drove over here, we found where the body was, we have proof that his car was, that kind
So
of
they
thing.
can't find the body, and that's what he's.
Well, that's why
he
they always
thinks
say
is so
no body, no
great.
case, or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's a reason behind that, because if you don't find the body, you have a good way of getting out.
But you've got such circumstantial evidence.
Oh,
on
yeah.
that.
But
But I mean,
that's-
like in the car, they find her blood and his blood and
I
stuff,
mean,
and so
they're
it's-
married though, so that's the defense on that. It's like,
Right.
oh,
But the cleaning stuff was hilarious because it was like he bought a hatchet and a saw.
some
and,
people are crazy,
and
Cindy.
all that. So
Well,
it's like, you should know better.
What my wife watches a lot of TikTok, and it's hilarious where that young man who killed those 3 women,
Right.
is it in Idaho or somewhere, like, they're young, and he like stalked him and all this stuff, and my wife knows all about it. I'm like, why do you care so much about this? And I made a mistake of asking that, because I was like, it's kind of crazy how much data you're collecting on this thing, and you're obsessing over this case. Well, when I said, why do you care so much? She's like, well, this could happen to like any woman,
Right.
and it's scary.
It was.
And she's like, when I was younger and living in like Austin, people, like, you never know.
No.
Like, people get assaulted, people get obsessive,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like,
People flip. But he had studied them. He had.
well, no, he did, like, the whole thing was creepy. So it
Yeah,
was like,
very
yeah.
creepy.
So, but she,
And
I mean,
I feel so.
look for the signs,
Look for the signs. Yes,
and
that's
also
right.
carry a gun. Well, no, what she was explaining to me is there's a roommate there in the house. Or like, it was 4 total people living there.
Right.
And the 4th roommate was asleep during the whole thing, and she woke up at like at 4 a.m., saw him leave.
Open the door and
Yeah, and
and see him.
and so when she's saying this, she's like, I feel so bad for her, because she gets interviewed and she just looks like a a ditz, because it's like, how did you not know? How did you, like, why didn't you call up, all this stuff? And I was like, yeah, she probably just woke up from it, and she's like, I don't know how you are when you wake up at 4 a.m. You're like, well, okay.
And this guy all
But-
in black, and how
I
scary
mean,
that was.
It's traumatic. So
So I was so happy when they found him, and
Yeah.
that put that whole community to rest, because they were just everybody was so upset, and kids didn't want to come back to school, and they didn't want to do this or that.
that's
so
wild, right?
yeah, so it was just, I understand why she was. I was too, because it just made me sick. But anyway, I wanted to just make the point that there's so much now. Why are people still making such stupid mistakes and feeling so arrogant that they're going to get away with it? and that they know better, and that they've, they've studied or researched it. But I wanted to talk about this really cool subject matter about how Richard got control of the Lone Star Community Radio and where he started from and how he, it's
Well,
just
we're here.
amazing.
We want people to join us. So that's one thing I want to say to listeners out there. If you're in Conroe, Montgomery County, want to create a podcast or YouTube channel, or you want to be on radio, we do it all here. So
Yeah, you too can be on the radio.
yeah.
You too
I
can
even
have
let
your-
Cindy on, so that means anyone can be on.
And I believe that. I believe that so much.
But
that
there's a lot going on here, so
It was a charity thing. He said, okay. all right, you can
Conroe's
be on.
moving.
I know.
Montgomery County's changing.
Right.
For the worse or for the best? For the better, I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's growing, and
I mean, we still got East County, so there's that thorn in the side.
The
Or
what?
what is it called? It's like the ugly duckling, East County. That's kind of the running joke.
about Conroe?
No, about Montgomery County.
Montgomery County.
Like
Oh.
East County is like its own other breed of people. So,
Yes,
which I like. I like East County a lot.
Well, I think we are in. I mean, we're outside of Willis. I thought I was in Willis, and I went by. How many years I've been in Willis? I mean, it's like 17,
Willis
18
is
years.
still considered like.
And I'm
one of
driving
those.
down Calvary, and I see you are now entering Montgomery County. It's like
So
Willis.
your house isn't even in Montgomery County?
No, it's not in Willis. It's in Montgomery County. I'm.
You don't really know where you live, do you?
No,
Do you know
I-
how you got here, Cindy?
Yes, I followed the breadcrumbs.
You didn't have a taxi driver, robot driver?
That's what I need is a robot driver. That I would never put my life in the hands of a robot driver.
I would.
And
Who
Samuel said,
cares?
"But Grandma, it'd be safer." And I went, "What? You think my driving's that bad?" I scare him to death. He's always going, "Grandma,
Yeah.
stop! You're stopping too." And I
Well,
said,
it's something like
have a
you and
wreck.
Holly have the same idea or same philosophy, I think, when driving. It's like you only pay attention to what you want to pay attention to.
"See,
And then but a lot of times it's not the road.
yes,
So like if my wife is driving, the scariest thing is when she's talking to me. I want to listen, but I know when she talks to me, she wants to talk to me and not drive. So she's driving, but
Oh, the phone,
she's
like she's-
looking at me
she's
talking, and she's trying to make her point or whatever she's saying. I'm like, baby, you got to focus on the road. She's like, you don't care what I'm saying. I'm like, no, you get so heated or you get so into what you're telling me,
Wait.
you forget that you're driving.
Why is she driving and not you
Because
driving?
I let women drive in my family, Cindy. I let them do a couple things.
You let them drive?
I let them drive, unlike your family where you're like banned. Yeah,
that is.
I'm surprised you're allowed to show your head. Like, where's your wrap
What are you talking about? Where's my wrap?
for your head?
Oh, because you think it's backwards that I'm doing
I know
that?
Sam. I know how Sam runs his household. I'm just kidding
Right.
with you.
You know that's not true.
Now, why is she driving? Because a
Why
lot
is
of
she driving?
times she wants to go somewhere, and I'm like, I'm not driving if you want to go. Like, you're the one driving.
Oh, okay. Okay. But that's better than the other, than you saying,
Or a lot of times she's always picking me up because, like, if she say we want to go to dinner, well, I'm here at the studio, and she'll
Mm-hmm.
just swing by and pick me up.
and pick you up and take you to dinner.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So
And she's so short. What kind of car does she drive?
I think a Corolla, Toyota Corolla.
Is it a like a
It's
CVR?
it's like a sedan.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know how she's legally allowed to drive, but
How tall is she?
410.
4'10". See, my sister's 4'11", and so it was always so much fun to go. Let me get that for you. But everybody thought that I was older because I'm taller.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, okay, so let's get back to the history of Lone Star, okay?
It's not that interesting to do. We already talked about
Is
this.
no, people want to know about you, Richard. You sit over there and make these insane remarks.
Yeah.
And they just want to know, are you really okay? Do you really, you have that much intelligence and that much fortitude about you to open your own radio, Lone Star Community Radio, and sell it to the city and all that? How did you do that? How did you make yourself believable enough to do that?
You gotta be a good liar.
Good liar.
And you gotta lie to yourself every day. I'm happy. I can do this. I'm motivated.
I'm so glad we have this on tape.
No, I just like this kind of. I like these platforms. I like listening to people, and I love personalities. So it's.
Mm-hmm. But you had your own show, though. You and Skippy had your own show.
Yeah. Shout out to Skippy. Miss you, man.
Yeah. After you had put this together.
I think that guy's gotten COVID like 6 times.
6 times?
Something like that.
Where does he go to eat?
I don't know. But every time I'm like, how are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm just getting over this COVID. I'm like, again? He's like, yeah, I don't know. Like, my wife had it. Now I have it. No.
Did he get the shot?
Yeah.
See,
some people just, COVID hates them.
But it must be who they're hanging out.
I don't know.
Hanging out
I
with.
don't know.
You're not supposed to be in close places. But I think.
Yeah, we just got an email from
some
somebody
people go like,
that
I
wants
can
to do a show right there. Look, yeah.
Did you ever have COVID?
No.
Now, see, you're trying to get me off the track. Why do you do that? I want people to know how you got started and how you made this happen.
I was a low-level person at Waymore FM, which was a web.
That's where I met you.
That's where we met, and that at the time was an online television station. So
right,
I did that, and then I basically became the IT guy there. And then I realized, I could do this because I always wanted to do something with production.
Yeah,
and I realized the cost effectiveness of starting a radio station was a lot easier than a video television station. So we started the radio station part.
But Waymore FM was way ahead of its time. So how did you, because it kept going down and it didn't have the bandwidth and that kind of stuff.
I think what it was the radio portion was viable and it was cheap to get into. And then my main focus, though, was just generating community content,
right?
Regardless of the platform. So either be print, photography, or whatever. And radio to me was more fun than doing like a newspaper because newspaper was boring.
Yeah.
So the radio is how I started it. It was just an online 24/7 stream of music programs, and then we started videoing them, and then technology caught up where it makes it so much easier and cheaper to do it live video like right now, like where we are now. But it's just I like community-oriented content, and I think Montgomery County is lacking that kind of content when it comes to radio, television, and stuff like that.
Right.
And I think it's also the conundrum of Houston, where like people say, "Oh, I'm from Houston," but it's like, "Oh, they live in Spring," but it's like that's not Houston.
Right.
But everyone kind of lumps it. Because I even think they even call Conroe like the greater Houston area. It's a city. It's what I'm talking about? So it's kind of one of those things. And I was like, well, there is a uniqueness to every town. I love small towns. And I wouldn't even call Conroe small. But I saw the need of, if I built this platform, people will come and use it. And so we invite people all the time. Be a guest, start a show.
Yeah.
Reach out to us.
And I love having interesting people. Some that has something
some wild
interesting
people
going
here,
on.
Isn't there?
Yes, there
some
are.
Wild people.
Love that.
What stinks though is like it never works out the way you want it to work. Because sometimes when you have guests, like, oh, this guy's crazy. I can't wait for this guy to say something that's just out there. But Conroe, Montgomery County, are the most normal people. It sucks. Yeah. We need crazies.
Well, I mean,
I need a Alex Jones. Actually, Eric Yollick's kind of like that. I don't know if you know who Eric Yollick is, but
no,
he's a local lawyer, but he's very opinionated on politics, and he has his own show. And we can't do religion or politics on our station here.
Religion or politics.
So I was like, because I knew how much trouble I would start if I like asked him to be on Lone Star, but then I realized, like, again, it's kind of like the Kyle Rittenhouse censorship thing. I was like, Is it really worth the trouble? Who cares? We can move on.
But still, you let me come on the show and have a show.
You break the rules all the time, but you're not. At least you're not calling for people to be harmed, or you're not lying. You're just misinformed.
No.
You're misinformed most of the time, so you're not knowingly lying to the people.
But you're there to fact check me.
Yeah.
Fact
I love it.
Check me. He's my fat. See, it sounds just exactly like I'm saying fat. Fact. Say fact.
Fact check.
Say it.
Fact check. fact check.
checker. And he, every time I say something, he turns to the computer and he starts typing, and I know he's checking to see if what I just said was, even
People
real.
need that, especially when we were talking on the radio or being on TV. It's like
That's live and going. So
that's why entertainment comes from watching you just kind of struggle with what's going on.
Are you talking about
is
me?
It fat check? Fat. I want to sit here for a minute and say fat check
Okay, I'm
over
sorry.
the air.
I'm sorry.
I'm just giving you a hard time, Cindy.
That's okay, because some people misconstrue the fact that, like, man, he just makes fun of her all the time. And
I love you, Cindy. No,
and I love you so much, Richard, and you're so good and you're so sweet. Underneath that all, underneath all of that, you are, and you're just such a teddy bear. I mean, Holly's probably throwing up right now.
Yeah. She passed her RN. She
did?
Yeah, she's an
You
RN
didn't
now.
oh my goodness!
I just told you on the air.
That's so
It was the best time to
great.
tell stuff like that.
You're supposed to call me and say.
Oh, no.
She's no, you're bowling. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And you still went bowling?
Yeah, she was sleeping.
Oh, she was sleeping.
Yeah, she slept.
Oh,
Yeah.
poor thing. Well, I am so proud of her.
Of course, I went bowling.
Well, I mean, I thought y'all go celebrate, go out and celebrate.
That's this weekend.
Oh, okay. Where are you going to take her?
We're going to Houston to visit her friends.
His
Or I guess our
wife is
friends,
an RN now,
Yeah. Making the money.
and making you feel so safe at home, because anything that you do or anything happens, she'd know what to do.
To
She
a
would-
point.
Well, I mean,
When she can't do brain surgery on me. That's why I
But
tell her,
if-
I was like, you're not good enough. Wait, you become a brain surgeon, then I'll
but
be proud of you.
maybe if there was anybody else around,
Yeah.
she'd just
No,
get
she
a,
knows a lot. She's good. She's a good nurse, too.
a big saw and cut it open. That's awesome. I always thought that would be so cool to have a nurse, somebody in the family that was a nurse. And so at church, there were a lot of women that were nurses. And so I'd get their phone numbers and I'd go like,
Yeah.
you don't mind if I call you?
I get in trouble with our family gatherings because I make fun of my brother's wives because, like, y'all, at least my wife is useful. and you're just stay-at-home moms.
Oh, that's
Get with the
mean.
current times, guys.
Oh, that's a way to get a good reunion going. I can just imagine.
They're all wonderful.
But you like to stir the pot. You think
Oh,
that's
yeah,
fun.
I love messing with people.
Yeah, that's what you like to do. But
Especially if it's like a serious tone going on. Like, that's one thing I love about the local politicians here is they're always so serious. It's like, if you make a joke, they're like, wait, we can't talk about that. I'm like, oh.
that's horrible.
That's
I would hate
great.
to have somebody like when we had the two politicians, his wife and the husband, who were running for different
Oh, school board
offices.
people. Yeah.
And but they were fun. I had they call them she bears, and we had
She-bears. It's
fun.
not mama bears.
They're she bears.
I love it. I think you should call them she bears, though. That's even better. Like, oh, they're the she bears.
That's what it calls them in the Bible.
Those people are fun.
They were so much fun.
Can
Except
you imagine?
one lady was too
So-
serious.
Well,
but-
no, like, see, this is so amazing to me about my mother. I'm the youngest of 6, and I find out my mom was like heavily into the PTA. I think she was on the board, but this is like way before I was even born. And so by the time I came around, she's like, I don't want to do anything, and I don't want to take you to baseball. I don't want to. I'd like make friends who are doing those things, so they'll take you, and their family will take you. But because I always
That's so great.
well, I imagine, can you imagine being on a board, like the ISD board, like wanting to run for those positions? And then it's like they feel like the whole outcome of these children's lives is dependent on you and the way you vote and the way you educate yourself and being there. And then especially with these buzzword topics going on where it's like, oh, we're getting books in here that are inappropriate. And then what else do people complain about? Like, you get woke teachers. I like the woke teacher thing.
Oh, that are asking the children, "Are you sure you're a girl? Come on."
Well, I like
Are you
that.
sure you're
I
a
mean,
girl?"
I think
You think that's funny? Oh,
Yeah,
I
I think-
can't wait till you have a child.
No, I
go
know.
to
I
school.
think it's because I remember, we've all went through somewhat like lower education or formal education or whatever you want to call it, and you always had that one or two teachers who are kind of odd,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
just like don't listen to him. I was like, because I remember one teacher like really disliked me because of my jokes and things like that, and he really just didn't like me. And I remember he said something to me in front of my parents, and my mom, we get in the car, and she's like, "Yeah, he just doesn't like you." So just
Your mom told you
yeah,
that?
and because I would always get detention, like only in his class, and no other classes I would get detention. And so I think after like, the 10th time, my mom was like, "What's going on with you?" And I was like, "I don't know. This guy just hates me. If I say one thing, it's like there's no warnings, there's nothing. It's like you're out." And I'm like, "Okay." And so after that, and like my mom's like, "Just don't pay attention to him. Just put your head down and get out of here. Like just get out." I'm like, "Okay, yeah."
What an insightful teacher. He could see it in you. He could hear it in your tone of your voice.
Because I'm never wrong. And I'm like, it's one of those things that he's wrong the whole time.
He was wrong the whole time. You're never wrong.
But no, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. But you always have those teachers, though. It's like, I think the conversation just makes me laugh. It's like, why would someone ask if you're a girl or a boy? Like mind your own business. If I was 6 years old, I'd be like, I don't want to tell you. You're my weird teacher. Like, you're a weirdo.
Did you have weird teachers in high school that would do things that you knew it was being inappropriate? Well,
thinking back, the only thing I realized what was inappropriate, which I guess people could see it, is one of my teachers took us, because I'm a huge sci-fi guy, and he was a huge sci-fi guy. So we would hang out, after class and talk about, the most recent, like Sliders, the TV show, and then like Star Wars and all that kind of stuff. And I think like the Houston Museum of Fine Arts had like a Star Wars exhibit, and I was like in 8th grade, and he offered to take us because he wanted to go. So like I went with his wife, me, and like 2 buddies. And looking back at it,
so it wasn't a school.
It wasn't a school thing that functioned at all. And my mom's like, "You want to go where?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to go see the Star Wars thing. It's gonna be cool." And then she's like, "Well, who are you going with?" And I'm like, "Oh, 2 of these guys and the teacher and his wife." And she's like, "You're going with your teacher?" I was like, "Yeah, he's gonna pick us up." But yeah, but looking back, like you can kind of look at going, this is kind of weird. Like,
School of Rock.
hanging out with this teacher at the Star Wars thing. And
School of Rock, when Jack Black wanted to take them all to the museum, he was going to put them in the band.
Yeah.
Band competition, and that had to be the funniest movie. And when he would say things like, I think I've tried to touch each one of these students, and because they've all touched
well, no,
me.
I think it's all perception. It's all perceptions. It's like looking back at it, like, oh, that's probably not a good thing to do. But,
Yeah, and how
But then
scary.
again, it's so funny that you're now having these complaints about teachers being too personal. But there's such a stigma to being a teacher, and how involved are you supposed to be with a child? Because everyone assumes you're a pedophile.
Right,
So it's
right.
just like, can you imagine being a teacher? I bet they love the COVID stuff, because it's like, all I do is turn on my screen. I'm good. I don't be in the classroom with the kids. Can't be accused of anything. Like,
That's true. And see, I kept asking, why can't y'all put a camera in the classroom? I said, Cindy, we can't do that. We can't put cameras in the classroom. It's illegal. I can't be spying on my teachers. And I went, what? I said, I bet the families, I think everybody would support that if you wanted to do that. I go, no, we can't put cameras in. Now, why would that be wrong?
well, there's probably some laws about it, and that's probably like when it comes down to this
the
kind of
union,
decision. There's
the
probably
teachers' union probably.
some written down thing about invasion of privacy or something.
Because
So-
if cameras were in the classrooms, then if something happened when we've had shooters or things like that,
I mean, there's cameras everywhere in schools, like security cameras.
yeah, in the hallway.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm talking about in the classroom. So if a teacher starts getting beat up by the students, then someone can go in there and stop them. It just seems like
And we could post it to like Facebook Live.
everybody else is taking
right?
video
we
of
could
it.
We could post it and just make fun of the teacher getting beat up.
Right. Nobody's
this guy.
helping the teacher. They're just all got their cameras out and videotaping fights and stuff like. Oh, I hate to see that stuff. Okay, so that got us way off the mark of. Oh, I've got to go to a break now.
No, you're at the end. So
We're at the end.
Yeah.
It's already gone by.
Yes, indeed.
It's so much fun
So who
to talk to you, Richard.
you're looking for guests for next week?
Next
I
week.
understand.
Yes.
Do you have anyone lined up right now?
No, I do not.
Okay. So if you want to be a guest, the contact information is in the description below for the Cindy Cochran Show.
Yes.
And today's show is brought to you by
The Wootton Financial Group. They're fiduciaries too over there. You know, a fiduciary just means that they put the client first.
I realized before we go, it's like that's when you know you've grown up. Is when you call somebody like Mr. Wootton.
Mr. Wootton.
You call an organization like, hey, I got a bunch of money, I want to do something with it. It's not like, because I always think of people who get a large sum of money like, oh, let's go gamble it. But it's like, no, let's call Chris Wootton and be like,
grow our money.
Gamble it a legal way. That's smart.
Yeah, that's right. Gamble a legal way. Yeah, and you'll never get it back. No, Chris Wootton will make sure he watches over you.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think that's a big, if you're ready to grow up, and you got some extra cash, and the way he talked about it is like, you don't need a large sum of money.
No, that's what people think because you say financial group or state planners. That's not the deal. They take what you have and they're going to help you out with especially if you're older like me and you're going to retire.
I think we're going to call them after Holly starts her job.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yay! That's perfect.
It's a big deal. So
yeah, she's making all the money now. Yeah. Okay, y'all are in the money. Okay, listen, we got to go, and I'll see you next week. And if you have anybody, an author or somebody like that, a friend of yours, let us know. We'll have them on here and help try and promote that. All right, thank you so much. And first responders, we love you, we respect you, admire you, and God loves you even more. Okay, y'all have a good weekend on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Every week, people ask the same two questions. Are they ready to retire? Will their savings last for their lifetimes? Hi, this is Chris Wootton with Wootton Financial Group. Our firm has been in Montgomery County for decades, but the hopes and dreams of the people we serve never change. We help answer these two questions and many more that people have about their uncertain financial future. We have a simple introductory client experience that allows us to get to know the client and includes a few meetings for the client to kick the tires at no charge. We provide a concise, one-page summary that helps the client get a better handle on which questions are the right questions for them. To learn more about Wootton Financial Group's process in helping their clients to a clearer financial future and to see their contact information, visit Cindy Cochran's show page on irlonestar.com/TCCS. Wootton Financial Group is a proud sponsor of the Cindy Cochran Show. Wootton Financial Group is available by phone at 936-449-5952 or visit them on the web at www.woottonfinancial.com. That's www.woottonfinancial.com.
This program is sponsored by the Wootton Financial Group. It is not the intent of Wootton Financial Group to render or offer personalized investment advice or financial planning advice through this radio program or any related website. Wootton Financial Group's participation in this program is limited to providing general information on financial matters and should not be construed as financial recommendation or investment advice. Investment advisory services are offered through Game Plan Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission and the state of Texas. Insurance services are offered through Wootton Financial Group, Inc. Game Plan Advisors and Wootton Financial Group, Inc. are affiliated through common ownership, and neither firm is affiliated with The Cindy Cochran Show. No listener should assume that any information presented and or made available on this program serves as the receipt of or a substitute for personalized individual advice from Game Plan Advisors, Wootton Financial Group, or any of their representatives.
Have a legal question? Are you a resident of Montgomery County? Call 281-645